Welcome back. You're watching the Power Breakfast Show. Now, every year, about 50,000 to 100,000 women die, are affected by fistula in Africa. It is a condition that has seen many women, be affected, and it's mostly through stigma. But to shed more light on fistula this morning, I'm joined in studio by Ms. Alili Koros-Attire. She's the CEO of Kenyatta National Hospital. We have Honorable Lina Jabi Kilimo. She is the chairperson of the Anti-Female Genital Mutilation Board. And at that end, we have Mrs. Eunice Kireni. She's the chair of the Flying Doctor Society of Kenya. Very good morning to you, ladies, and thank you very much for making time to come and talk about a topic that not many want to talk about it, but needs to be talked about. And I think the first question will be to you. And what is fistula?
Thank you, Kariko, for inviting us to discuss this very important topic in this studio today. Fistula actually is, I can say, is abnormal communication of the bladder and the vagina, or the vagina and the urethra, and also the could be between the bladder and the cervix, and the bladder and the uterus. So normally there is a way, of course, the organs in the body communicates. But in this case, it could be abnormal communication because there is a hole that actually joins these organs, which should not be. And it is because of many reasons, one of it being the obstetric obstruction, being the major cause of this. And also there could be other causes like the infections and the trauma and others. So basically I can say that is what fistula could actually be.
And does this affect women who are, who are of age of giving birth, or, does it happen to any woman,
Well, it happens actually to every woman, but mainly you see it with the young, the very young women who, during the childbirth, whenever there is a complication in childbirth. So you could actually say it affects, yes, but mainly it affects
during childbirth, women who are going through childbirth process. Okay, and what are some of the signs and symptoms associated with fistula?
The signs and symptoms associated with the fistula is leakage of urine at any given time, or even stool, depending on what kind of fistula that the individual suffers. So, and it carries a lot of stigma, a lot of humiliation, because you can imagine, Karigo, that this is a woman who should be leading a normal life, but now because of these challenges, the leakage of urine, which causes also bad odor at any given time. So it is, those are the main symptoms of the fistula.
Of fistula. Let me come to you, Mrs. Kireni. You have been a nurse for very many years, and is this something that we're seeing on the rise? Having been in the medical field for a very long time, is fistula something we're seeing, on the rise?
Yes, I would say so. The thing about fistula is that, as you rightly said at the beginning, people do not find it comfortable to talk about it. They have, even the women themselves who are affected, or like outcasts. Therefore, we did not know that they were there. Now that there has been a deliberate action to talk about it, to educate women, including men, about this problem, more and more now people are coming. Many they are coming because they know that they can be helped. Now, to go just a little bit back, is that the pity about fistula, and which people do not know, is that it is preventable and it is correctable, can be cured. But because when we are, as health workers, when we are dealing with people, maybe we don't put as much emphasis to the women, that the importance of a woman expecting, right from even at 2 months, 3 months, to go to the antenatal clinic. And the reason for this is that very early in the pregnancy, the woman, if there is any problem, it will be detected.
Yes.
And then she'll be advised on the best way when to come to a health center or to a clinic.
Yes.
But many do not come to antenatal clinics because maybe they are not available where these poor women, rural mainly, they are poor women who are affected. Or there are no well-trained health personnel to help them.
Speaking of living conditions, as you doing research, you see that it affects mainly the poor women in society. Does that mean people who have good or decent health services do not get affected by fistula?
Exactly. If you look like we give examples of the Western countries. If you look at a place like America, a country like America, you would never find a VVF unless somebody from somewhere has gone to that country.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at UK, again, you'll not find.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in Kenya, although we are talking about in every 1,000 deliveries, maybe we get 4 women who end up with fistula, we are saying that mainly these are from very, very poor families who have no access, who cannot afford, who are not knowledgeable of what is available to help them.
What about personnel? I was reading an article that said about 5 years ago there were only countable, rather you could count with your fingers the number of health personnel who could deal with a fistula. Have we seen an increase in the number of doctors who can deal with fistula? We
have, fortunately. Doctors and nurses are now getting more and more interested in this problem. And doctors, particularly the gynecologists and obstetricians, they are coming forward and training in this area. You see, there isn't very much money. It's not a glamorous job for a surgeon or for an obstetrician to really want to go, because there isn't money in that. But fortunately, we have very, very good dedicated doctors who have done a wonderful job. I think when the history of this country is written, these doctors and nurses should be in that.
Should be recognized.
Should be there.
Ms. Kilimo, let's talk about FGM. You're an avid crusader, anti-FGM. Do we see more cases of fistula in girls, in women who've undergone the cut?
Yes, most of the complications that arise from FGM are because of what happens in most communities after the cut. Girls are married off early. And so they're married off early, the pelvic is not ready for a child, and so during delivery, they normally tear. And most of the fistula cases are really from FGM and early marriage. And I say early marriage is because of being circumcised early. Yes. Although we have some communities who do not circumcise, but we have a problem of early marriage. Yes. Yeah.
And speaking of, FGM, a few weeks ago, we saw some women coming and saying they support FGM, What are you doing to ensure that these women understand that as much as you want to call it tradition, it is harming our young girls?
Well, it's true. I know that happened. There was a demonstration. And there was also a counter demonstration of also women who have known the dangers of FGM, who also said, no, you're wrong. And I want to thank those ladies who came out to also tell their counterparts from the same region that that is a tradition that has been passed by time. However, education is our major program in the Anti-Female Genital Mutilation Board. Those women spoke out of ignorance, and their concerns were genuine. Everybody would want their child to be married, but we also want them to understand the dangers of FGM, and they get an alternative. They can have all their ceremonies, but we don't want them to cut the child because of the complications that come. And one of the complications, not just fistula after that, because you can count 1 in 1,000, but we are also saying in government, it is the duty of government to protect all her citizens from anything harmful. So it wouldn't be in the interest of government to have some women having fistula, then you must address the cause. So if it is FGM, then let us stop FGM. However, when you look at the transition rates in schools and the retention of girls in schools in these communities, it is wanting, because after circumcision they just get married. And these are the things we want those kind of ladies who demonstrated to see that we are not in the 19th century. We are now almost, I think we should be going to the 22nd century, where education is the order of the day.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Okay, and let's talk about now the stigma associated with fistula, and maybe I can come back to you, Mrs. Tare. And you know, how does it affect the women? We know it is a condition, yes, it is embarrassing, but then we have seen families break because of a fistula.
That's very true, Kariko, because having fistula, you can't lead a very normal life. That is for sure, because of the symptoms that are associated with it. So it is very true that you hear cases of women who have even been left by their husbands, and even those who are still living with their husbands still suffer a lot of pain because of what they are going through. It affects also even in normal social life. So you will find people who will be withdrawn. They wouldn't actually be very open to interact with others and maybe discuss issues. And so I can say that fistula actually goes a very long way in destroying normal life of a woman. And so apart from the treatment, also requires counseling.
Yes.
Yes.
And we'll get to that. But then before that, what is the role of family, you know, when it comes to helping a lady who's going through fistula? And Mrs. Kieran, maybe you can respond to that.
I think the role of the family, first of all, it begins with the husband. Because if this lady or mother was not going to go through the birth, she would not have been in this position. So it is the father and the mother role, the father's role to support. And this is the education we are talking about, that the men also should understand how and where this ends, where it begins and how it ends. So if the man, the husband, is supportive, the children will also understand that our mother went through this and she is like this because she was going to have another baby, another brother of ours, and it didn't. In the course of doing that, then she got the complication.
Yes.
And you know, the sadness about the whole situation is that normally the baby dies and the mother then is left with this condition. So it is a double tragedy
yes,
for the family. So the family, this is, I think, all the more they should unite in supporting this woman. And now that they know it is a condition which can be corrected and a woman can have a normal life again, and in fact, indeed, she can have other children through cesarean section.
yes.
So I think if families understood about this condition, I'm sure they would be more sympathetic.
Are we seeing more men?
But before you go there,
yes,
I must say that is why we are here today, and that's why we are going to have our walk today.
Yes.
We need to raise awareness so
Yes.
that people can talk about the issues affecting women. When a woman has a fistula, first of all, you are the one who has done something wrong. There are so many myths associated with it. So they say it is witchcraft, and so in hushed tones they'll just be talking about that lady who is leaking. What sin did she do? You know, such things. And we are saying it is nothing. It's just an accident that happens, and it was when you were giving life that it takes place, and it can be giving life. Either you are married or not married. Although in most cases there are our young girls who are the majority of this. Or women, sometimes the foods we are eating these days, the child just becomes too big.
For
and
me to carry.
Yeah, for you to deliver.
Yeah, to deliver.
So you get complications.
Yes.
Then we also have people who fear undergoing cesarean. they say their firstborn was done cesarean. Well, then I'm not going to the clinic the next time. So they want to deliver at home, not knowing that the wisdom of the doctor that time was to preserve them. So at home, then there they tear. And it's these myths which are associated, and nobody wants to see them. And now we are asking Kenyans, it's time we also talk about the untalkables. It's now an open society.
True, it's important to head that direction. But like I was asking, are we seeing men understanding what it is, or do we still need to drill it in them?
I think we need, and incidentally, Honorable Jabi is our goodwill ambassador for the Fistula.
Yes.
And we could not have chosen a better person. She's so passionate about this problem. I think we'll see more and more men as soon as they understand what we are talking about. And this, you people are going to be our biggest helper in getting this message across through the radio talks, through talking, education, and in fact, this is something which should even be talked about in
should be national conversation.
Even in Parliament. Yes. Because I always say, and I'm sure the rest will agree with me, if this condition affected women, men, it would have been sorted out long time ago. But because it is a woman, and as I said earlier, a poor, quiet, silent, rural woman, we have ignored it, and we have sort of pretended, gone on as if it doesn't happen. But I think it's time men, women, anybody who can help should address this condition, because it should not happen.
It shouldn't be let to pass. Now, we've spoken about, you know, how the role of the family when it comes to helping a woman who, you know, has a fistula. What about after the surgery? Do we see counseling take place for these women? Because like you rightly said, it's double tragedy. You know, most of the time you get the condition and you lose your baby. Are we seeing emotional support coming through for the victim?
Yes, Jericho, I think probably just to state that, or to add to what my colleague has said, is that at least at the moment we see a bit of support from the men. When you come to the clinics at the moment, at least you can see a woman being accompanied by the husband to come for such a service, which I think in the past was not very common. And so at least right now, with the awareness that is being created, we can see the support that the women are now receiving probably from the men. And of course, we cannot say that we've reached where we want to be. And we are very happy to have the Honorable Chebi Kilimo here, who is actually doing so much on this field. So now when it comes to after the surgery and the support that these people require, yes, we do see a lot of it, because this is a situation whereby someone has actually lived with it for quite some time. It has affected the person, personality even at some point. So truly speaking, after the surgery, there is need for that support, the counseling, so that the person is rehabilitated, or rather brought back to the state in which the person actually should be, and given the confidence, and also to appreciate that this was just a normal medical case, and now she can actually revert back to the normal life.
Yes. Okay. Anyone who wants to add?
Yes, I just want to add. Not all the men understand what is fistula. When we were marking the Fistula Day, I think it was 23rd of May, I talked about fistula in a forum, and I had to Google and actually let my iPad go around for people to see what is fistula. I tell you, not all of them do understand. And as Dr. Kiereni had said, it affects the poor, people who come from poor households. So people who come from poor households, then when they get, they don't understand this condition. Those who are in town, they can always access medication. And that is why we are counting on you, the media, for people to understand that there is support for them, and likely, I mean, all that you can be repaired and you can be okay. And like where you're put and forgotten about, I have come face to face with a fistula person. For 6 months, she could not walk because it was too massive. Okay, you've lost the baby, so they left her in hospital, because how do you go around with a catheter? Or how do you go around with a napkin? If you are in the rural area, then do you have this napkin to support you? You don't have. So it is something that we really want the government to take over, so that when a woman delivers, they say if she has suffered a fistula, they don't simply just send her back home. They should find a way of ensuring that she's repaired. I think we have about 5 hospitals now that are offering fistula repair.
We have Eldoret, we have, in fact, the main provincial hospitals are offering repair. But also to add to what the rest have said, is other than just depending on us to talk about this, it's so important that as we talk about prevention of polio, as we talk about prevention of HIV, as we talk, you remember also there was a time nobody wanted to talk about HIV. Now fistula should really, is not a small problem. Even if it is one Kenyan woman who is suffering from this, it is a big health problem because it shouldn't happen. It is not like a chronic disease like cancer, which people are still researching. It's something which we know can be prevented and can be cured.
Yes.
So really, it should be. You talked about a national convention. Maybe we'll have to ask our
national
goodwill ambassador here to dialogue.
Yes. All right. Remember, you can participate. You can send us your questions 22422, and I'll fill them to the panelists, and I'll come back to you because you are at Kenyatta National Hospital, and maybe you can just give us statistics of how many people you see, not in a day, maybe a week or a month, who are suffering from fistula, so that we can be able to understand when we say that it's a big problem, for us to be able to understand what we're dealing with here.
Thank you. We see quite a number of people. We run a clinic actually weekly on Tuesdays, and we see an average of 16 fistula cases. And we are happy to have our Dr. Gisa and the team who are at the moment able to attend to them throughout.
Yes.
So actually we see them, and whenever we have such camps like what we're going to run now, we actually are looking at 100 plus. Kariko, even at this point as we are talking now, I'm told the hospital is actually packed with a number of women who have come for the checkup.
Yes.
So truly speaking, we see quite a number of them. In a year, we see more than, we actually operate more than 100 cases, and because that is on one camp. And then now, given that we are having these 16, so we are talking of numbers to about 300.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And someone has sent in a question here. I wish I could get it, but something to do with post-care after the corrective surgery, and it was in regards to they know someone who had surgery, fistula correction, but then developed swollen legs. Is that in any way connected, or what should we prepare ourselves mentally for after surgery?
We do have follow-up, and we do ask if we suspect that there is going to be a little complication. We will tell them after so many days to come back, or keep them a little longer than the rest who are normally straightforward. So aftercare is very important, because unless you do that, then the whole operation will come to nil. But again, you need properly trained nurses to follow up this and to know what to do when these people present themselves. Talking about the patients, we might be, the caution is, we might be creating a demand and we will not be able to deal with it. I see Kenyatta now having a problem, because more and more patients now will be coming. More and more people will be going to Eldoret, to other centers, and these are some of the centers where you might not have enough qualified, skilled doctors and nurses to do this. So the reason why we keep on saying that we need this is a national issue, not just a localized or Kenyatta National, Eldoret or Mombasa issue, is so that also the doctors and the nurses can be trained specifically for this. The other thing would be, like other countries have, not other countries, country like Ethiopia or Nigeria, they have a fistula center where Kenyatta now National Hospital, they have many, many other issues to deal with.
Yes.
But if we had a center of excellence for the fistula, this would take away all this burden, and it will be maybe a center from other countries will be coming to us. So this, in the end, at least that is my dream for the Flying Doctors Society of Africa, that we will be able to raise enough funds and put up a center for fistula for this country.
Okay. Just to add something, Karipo, is that it is true that the training actually has not been done widely as it should be. As we're talking right now, we have 119 trained medics actually in East African countries. Okay. Majority of them, of course, we are lucky as Kenyatta National Hospital to be having them. We have about 54 nurses and about 5 doctors, one being in the university and 4 in the hospital. But looking at those numbers and the population that we have in the East African countries, you can actually be very sure that this is not adequate. Yes. So truly speaking, I think this is an area whereby the government has got to come in to support in terms of training in this particular area. However, I wouldn't, of course, forget to mention that the government decision to actually have free maternity has gone a long way in reducing these cases. That's what I was going to ask next. Yes. Yes. So I think we are in the right direction generally, but I think we only have to move faster to actually be able to address the capacity issues to handle the numbers that are actually there. That are coming in. Yes. And we need to clarify this for one of our viewers, anonymous though, and they're asking, is it possible to have fistula before childbirth? This is something I think we need to clarify, because they add, I had urine leakage before I gave birth 6 years ago. You know, so maybe it's important for us to clarify, can someone get fistula before childbirth?
You can have fistula before birth if there was rape, for example. Yes. Mainly that would be, I think, the only reason I would say. The 99.1% is mainly due to childbirth. Young people delivering when they are not ready, and so on and so forth. Yes. Okay.
Let's now talk about the reason as to why we're here, and this, you can see Weshimua is ready for the walk. I'm wondering where your t-shirts are. And where
I will be. As soon as I come out to feel,
as soon as you leave, you're going. All right. We start the National Fistula Camp that kicks off today. Maybe you can tell us more about it.
Yeah, well, we'll start a walk from Kenyatta National Hospital today, and of course we shall be led by the director. And she's not in her t-shirt because we will start from her office, so I think hers is in her office. In the office. Well, I live out of town, so I came ready for the walk. Yes. And I'm sure our chairperson also is actually waiting just to put on. So this walk is really to create awareness, and also to show that we are empathizing with the women who are also suffering this. And the part of the awareness is that so that I can count on you or anybody else who will see a crowd of people walking and ask, what is that? Then they will want to understand more about fistula, and they will remember. I know some will say, yes, I know somebody who suffers that. Like 2 weeks ago, I had some people in my office, and I was discussing with them about the consequences of FGM, like fistula, and they said, yeah, I know of 2 ladies who are like that. So in the process, we hope to bring more women to come out in the light and own up that we suffer fistula, because it is something shrouded in mystery, in silence. People hide away. People actually don't want to talk about their leaking wife or their leaking whatever. So this is why we are having this walk today, to create awareness. And hopefully very soon the government will now see the challenges Kenyatta Hospital is going through. There are too many, then they can train more doctors. Then we have them in most of our district hospitals or county hospitals, so that women can be repaired immediately before suffering shame. It is also expensive, and it affects the poor. The lowest you can you can pay is about 36,000. That is after negotiating so much. But otherwise, it's from 50 and above. And the time they stay in hospitalization also takes long.
Yes.
Because you have to stay, you keep them in hospital, they're using a catheter. After some time, you have to see, are they fully repaired after that? And also reintegration back in the community. People were used to seeing you leaking. So you don't know how to, whether you'll be accepted that you are no longer leaking again. And that's why we are saying, well, let us talk about it until it is normal to talk about somebody who suffered fistula, now she's repaired. Just like the way we used to be scared of somebody who has got HIV and AIDS, and now we talk about it.
Yeah, and we sit with them.
And so this is really the work, is to tell women there is hope and there is treatment.
Yes. And
it's expensive, and the government should step in.
The government needs to do something.
Yeah.
A medical camp?
Yes, true. We'll start with the work, and as Honorable Lina Kilimo has said, is that we are prepared. The t-shirts are there. I think I have one for you.
All right,
and,
thank you.
With the medical camp, yes, we are going to do it. And the reason why we are doing this is because we appreciate that there is a challenge for people to access these facilities. And as it has been said, it's not a very cheap service. It's not a very cheap procedure. If you go to a private hospital at the moment, I think you'll get that one at around 150,000 and above. Kenyatta itself, we are doing it at around 60,000 on a normal case. However, this is going to be done free of charge. Of course, someone else is meeting the cost, and we truly appreciate the people who are working with us, the flying doctors and the Freedom from Fistula Foundation. And we want to say that during the camp, we want to ask as many people as possible, women who have been suffering there, to come out. Kariko, again, we should appreciate what has been said, that most of the people who are suffering this are coming from a humble background. These are people who cannot afford, and that is why the camp is coming in. We want to ensure that we reach as many people as possible within the shortest period that we can be able to reach them, and also with the free service with the people who have actually decided to assist us. So the camp will run. And the screening has actually started.
Yes.
And we'll do as much as we can within this period.
Yes.
The challenges, of course, are there, and the challenges that we've been facing even before is the facilities as well. The Fistula Theatre is what we renovated actually last year. We created a theatre for it so that it could give us room, because it was competing with all other cases for the theatre. And so for this week, we actually are happy, or since that time we are happy, and we appreciate AMREF having assisted us to do that, the Women Foundation to renovate and dedicate a theatre for
an area for that.
Yes, for specifically fistula.
Okay.
Yes.
Mrs. Kiriani, do you see this going bigger and better, moving to other areas? Because most are asking, it is in Nairobi, we do not have access, we cannot get to Nairobi. What happens to me who's in Mumias? What happens to me who is in Nyeri and would, that cannot afford 36,000 shillings, which is actually subsidized? Yeah. What happens next? Do we see the campaign going nationwide?
I hope so, and I really would, I pray so. As you heard, that the expenses of repairing even one woman so much. One thing I would like to do is to appeal to all of you to join the Flying Doctor Society of Africa, because it's through the membership that we raise the funds now we have to run the camps like the one in Kenyatta. The 3Fs, which is Freedom from Fistula organization, is again a voluntary organization which has done a lot for this country in funding. My prayer is that if Kenyans also supported these organizations, now that we have gone to counties, we will also be able to demonstrate to the county bosses that they can also do it. They can raise funds locally to run a camp not maybe as sophisticated as the one we have in Kenyatta, but as long as they are skilled, there is an operating table, there is good light, which now, that being the case, in fact, we have offered to buy a better theatre light for the Kenyatta National Hospital. So it's something which must be done by everybody and everyone.
Combined effort.
Combined effort, yeah, to really make it a success. Yeah. And I can see it, that it will be coming. I can see it. All
right, before I let you go, just someone with a concern here, Clifford Miguel in Kisii. Will the problem reoccur if a woman decides to get another child, or if one has been repaired? Or is that the end of childbearing? Mrs. Kieran?
Say that again.
Someone is asking, yes. Will the problem reoccur if a woman decides to get another child, or does that mean it is the end of childbearing after fistula correction?
No, it can recur. And that I did say that normally if you have been repaired, fistula has been repaired, the woman is advised to be very careful, antenatal care, to be assessed, but to come before the labor starts so that an elective cesarean section can be done.
Okay, so cesarean section is an option.
Yes.
After fistula correction.
Yes.
All right, ladies, thank you very much. We've come to the end. I'm being told time has run up, but thank you very, very much, and we wish you all the best in your endeavors. If I can make it, I will be there joining you in solidarity, but I'm behind you all the way. And like you said, it is time to talk about it. It's nice. It's time to have a national conversation about fistula. Yes. So thank you very much this morning. And like we've been told, the National Fistula Campaign walk is going on this morning, starting from Kenyatta National Hospital at around 9 o'clock. If you're free, if you're available, please head down that way. If you know anyone who is suffering from fistula, there's a medical camp that's also taking place at the Kenyatta National Hospital. It is free. Please take them down there and let them get assisted. We do not need to die of stigma, and we do not need to be embarrassed about it. We'll be right back.
Thank you.